I never imagined a job would be the thing that put the biggest crack in a 15-year friendship. I'm 28, and until recently, I worked in a small store with one of my closest friends. We've known each other since we were teenagers, grown up together, survived breakups, family drama, everything. When she recommended me for the job a couple of years ago, it honestly felt perfect. The pay wasn't great, but it was stable, and working side by side with someone I trusted made it feel worth it. We worked well together, we had our routines, we laughed, complained, and supported each other through long shifts. Over time, though, the job started wearing me down. The pay was low to begin with, and as rent, food, and literally everything else kept getting more expensive, it started to feel almost insulting. On top of that, the owners slowly stopped treating us like people who cared about the business. Any suggestions we made were brushed off. Extra effort went unnoticed. It started to feel like no matter how hard we worked, it would never be enough, or even acknowledged. We worked alternating morning and afternoon shifts. On morning shifts, one of us had to come in an hour early to clean and prep before opening. For a long time, I did it without complaint. I showed up early, cleaned thoroughly, and took pride in doing things right. But in the last month, something in me just broke. I dreaded going in. I felt resentful, underpaid, and unappreciated. I didn't quit outright because I kept telling myself I'd just hold on a little longer. I knew my friend had a trip planned, something she'd been looking forward to for months, and I was supposed to cover her shifts for a few days. I didn't want to screw her over. I thought I could power through until then. Instead, I started checking out mentally. On some morning shifts, I came in later than I was supposed to. Not late enough to delay opening, but late enough that the cleaning was rushed. I still did the work, but not with the same care. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself the owners didn't deserve my best anymore. And selfishly, I told myself that since I was still technically doing my job, it wasn't a big deal. Of course, it was a big deal. The owners noticed. They always do. And eventually, they fired me. Honestly, I can't even argue with that decision. If I'm being completely honest with myself, I should have quit instead of slowly sabotaging my own performance. I thought I was only hurting a job I no longer cared about, but I wasn't thinking about who else would be affected. That's where the guilt really hits. When I told my friend I'd been fired, she panicked. Before I even had the chance to fully explain, she was already spiraling, convinced they'd force her to cancel her trip because they wouldn't be able to replace me in time. The store had struggled for years to find someone before I was hired. She knew how particular the owners were. Thankfully, they didn't cancel her trip, but now she's stuck working longer shifts going forward, at least until they find someone new, and that's on me. What hurts the most is knowing that I should have told her sooner. I knew things weren't going well. I knew I was burned out and disengaged. I wanted to warn her, to be honest, but I didn't have the courage. I was afraid of disappointing her, afraid of admitting I was failing at something she brought me into. So I stayed quiet, and that silence ended up hurting her anyway. I've apologized more times than I can count. I've owned up to my mistakes. I've told her how bad I feel and how much I regret not handling this differently. She hasn't responded. And now I'm sitting here wondering if this is really enough to lose someone I've had in my life for over 15 years. I understand why she's angry, I really do, but part of me hoped that our friendship, the history, the love, everything we've been through, would mean we could at least talk. Instead, I'm left with the weight of knowing that my burnout, my avoidance, and my poor choices didn't just cost me a job, they may have cost me a friend too. And I keep asking myself, was I the asshole here, or just someone who handled a bad situation in the worst possible way?